Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we want to talk about our children in crisis, the responses that we ought to make at this time. We have with us the Minister of Youth and Culture, the Honorable Lisa Hanna. We thank you for your company. Minister, good to have you on Issues and Answers. Always a delight to talk with you. So we have the serious issue of the problems confronting our children. My first question is, what is the government doing in terms of legislation to ensure that its response is adequate to the crisis?
Well, let us look at the context of the situation. There are several ministries that have the responsibility for dealing with children. There is the Ministry of Youth and Culture, there is National Security, Justice, Labour and Social Security, there's Health, there's Education. What I do is I chair an interministerial committee for the past 2.5 years that brought the ministries and agencies together so that we were not operating essentially in silos and we were working together. There are significant steps that have been addressed since we took office, separating children from adults in correctional facilities. The Safe School program has reduced the number of violent conflicts in schools by 50%. We have rescued over 25 girls from child trafficking and made several arrests. We've increased the number of mechanisms for people to report abuse. We've reduced the number of children that have gone missing last year by 10%, and we've returned 9 out of every 10 children who have gone missing. So there's a number of things across the board in terms of programs. Legislatively, there's a Child Care and Protection Act. There's the Offences of the Persons Act, there is a Sexual Offences Act, there's a number of legislation that deal with the best interest of children and has very harsh penalties for people who abuse children. So if a child is raped or if a woman is raped, you can even be sentenced up to life. What we're finding though is as the system gets more difficult, we have had to start revising some of these issues. So one of the issues that are coming forward, and it's now at Cabinet, is a child diversion policy, because we recognize that a large number of cases before the formal court system are children who are under 18 years old. 30% of our population is under 18. So what the Ministry of Justice has done is we now are going to be implementing a child diversion policy to keep these persons. Well, simply to keep the children out of the formal court system. You'll have 13-year-olds who destroy property or probably wound with intent, uncontrollable behavior. So what we're doing is setting up parish committees with care plans so that these children can go before those committees instead, and that there is a better approach in working with that child to resolve the issue with
so a more rehabilitative, approach,
restorative, in the best interest of the child approach. What you're also going to see is, because of the Prime Minister's agreement that there needs to be harsher sanctions on parents, because remember, parents, a failure to report or a parent putting a child in harm's way, whether by negligence or for care and protection, can be charged. And
right now,
under the law. But what we are going to be doing, there's going to be tougher sanctions. So what you could possibly see is that if a child is even loitering on the road after particular hours,
a parent will be held responsible.
A parent or guardian can be held responsible. So those new policies are also being drafted.
If a child of, say, 14 is living with a man,
woe be unto the parent.
Parent would...
Woe be unto the parent, the guardian, and the man that the child is living with. And the people who actually know in the community.
Even the people in the community?
Even the people. If the people
could reach...
Even the people who know in the community and fail to report that the child was there will be liable and charged.
It will be that serious?
It will be that serious. And that exists now. That exists now. That is why it's not to say, when I got up in my sectoral and said, look, this is not only the government's responsibility, it is everybody's responsibility. And you can't blame poverty, because you have children coming out of very poor circumstances. It's really the choices you make. People have to realize is that there are a number of things that are already in place. What has to happen is a subverting of the current socio-cultural mix that exists, where people are not taking responsibility for protecting children in the communities, in the families, and feeling that the quantity of children that you have are what is sufficient to define your validity. So, and that's not what it is. That's not what it is at all. It's not how much youth you get. We're geared a stripe. It's how you take care of your youth them. And you know, a mother, what's clear to us, and this is not my emotive response and just a campaign speech, our clinical psychologists in the CDA, we've seen over 2,000 children last year who come into state care in our children's homes and places of safety. And they're saying to us, look, we're seeing serious problems because of the generational breakdown of the family structure.
I want to take a break. Minister of Youth and Culture, Lisa Anna, speaking passionately about children's issues and telling us of some strengthening, some possible strengthening of existing legislation. We take a break, but we'll be right back.
Parents nowadays don't know if they school them pitney. Then school them pitney and tell them, oh, they're ugly, that fit up. Tell them, oh, they look like they're ugly pooper, that fit up. Tell them, oh, their head dry like a coconut brush, that fit up. Tell them, oh, they not come out to nothing good, that fit up.
Yes, children are precious gifts from God and are our heritage. Parents, guardians, stop abusing them. Speak life and healing into every child's life, and let us play a positive role in shaping and molding the next generation.
Today we focus on our children. We have with us the Minister of Youth and Culture, the Honorable Lisa Anna. There are things that we as a society need to do. What are some of the most critical things, Minister, you would suggest that we do now?
Well, the first, I think we've admitted that there is a problem as a society. I just don't think that the knee-jerk reaction every time you read the newspapers is going to be the thing to solve it. There have been significant strides, but I think it's being overshadowed now by this cultural breakdown, as I was saying before. Families need to take a stock of those things that are really important to a child, and we can start individually. Children need time, they need to feel loved, they need to feel protected, they need to feel that if they fall backwards with their eyes closed, that you as a parent or the guardian is going to catch them. The young girl doesn't need to feel that she has to be fighting off her mother's boyfriend and that she can't trust the mother if she tells her. The mother or the father can't feel that if you have 6 children for 6 different men and the father as well for 6 different women, that is going to be in the best interest of the family. Because what we're seeing now and what the clinical psychologists are saying to us is that, look, these children are speaking about it. They are parentifying themselves, where they now have the burden of taking care of the other siblings when they come home, so they can't do extracurricular activities at school. They resent it. They have to wash, cook, clean. They have to go out and earn their lunch money and work on the street sometimes late at night. And it's acting out in other ways, particularly if they have a single parent and the parent gets ill and they have to take care of the parent plus go to school. So I think the society also needs to have a wake-up call. We keep talking about values and attitudes. Jamaicans know what the right value system is, you know. We do. But it's just a matter of implementing it. And I think all need to be on board. I think the artists need to be on board, or musicians need to be on board. All stakeholders need to be on board and start having these courageous conversations. When I spoke about being connected, it's not only being connected in terms of technology, it's being connected in terms of a human family. I am in government because I really want to help solve the problem. But each of us have to be able to get connected with what is happening in the society. If I know my domestic work at home has a family of young children, don't keep her there until 5 o'clock in the evening, right? have a situation where she's able to go home and spend time with her young children. Even if she's a live-in, make sure that the child or her young children can come. These are some of the social consciousness that we have to get back to as a family, because the grandparents are also saying, look, calling us at the CDA and saying, look, we can't take care of them anymore. My daughter left this one and went away. They call them the barrel children. We can't manage them as adolescents. We can't deal with them. We have situations where a lot of our children need to be assessed mentally. Over half of our population in the state care homes have some kind of depression. They have either slight autism, they have bipolar disorder, some of them have suicidal ideations. This is not something that happened overnight. This either has been because of post-traumatic stress, and what the psychologists are saying is that when you see a child acting out, another thing we've reviewed is removing the uncontrollable behavior label, because a child could have been locked up for acting out if they're deemed uncontrollable. It's not fair to the child. My child and your child, we could probably sit down and say, look, you need some counseling. Tell us what's really happening. In other situations, the mother carts the child off to the police station because she probably have more at home.
That's right.
And she just say, look, I don't have, it's convenient, I can't manage you. So we're also putting in place a system where we have a place in every parish, we're working on that this year, to be able to give therapy and therapeutic intervention on top of our child guidance clinics, and also working with our systems to put a therapeutic center in place for children, because we don't have one.
Yeah. And Minister, will your ministry be taking a more activist, a publicly activist role in lobbying for children, in raising consciousness about children's issues?
Yeah, because one of the decisions that we are very, very clear on is having that courageous conversation now. The time has come to expose it, and I should also mention to you that the Prime Minister is very, very clear, and she's going to be leading that charge. Yes.
The Prime Minister herself?
The Prime Minister is leading this charge and leading it on behalf of the government.
And we should see her in public forum?
You're going to see her in public forum. You're seeing her the first time on May 28th.
Prime Minister will be doing
in Clarendon, because we're also going to be in those areas that are the hotspot areas. Westmoreland, Hanover. Hanover is now the #1 in terms of teenage pregnancy. You're going to see her in St. Thomas. You're going to see her in St. Catherine, Kingston and St. Andrew. Because
speaking about children's issues.
Speaking about children's, yes, and having the courageous conversation to say, look, this cannot continue. The government, here's what the government is doing and has done to arrest the development and protect our children. But you have your responsibility to play as well. We have several policies, several programs, but big man, you can't be raping the little girls. I don't know, Ian, if you've realized that several of the children who have been murdered have been pregnant.
Absolutely, yes.
The girls?
Yes.
And the women, some of the women who have been found dead have been pregnant?
Yes, they've turned up pregnant.
Thank you.
Yes.
So there is an underbelly that we have to confront as a country, and it doesn't look good internationally either.
Yes. Minister of Youth and Culture, speaking very forthrightly on children's issues and underlining the crisis and the responsibility of all of us to respond appropriately. We thank you for your company on Issues and Answers. Until next week, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.